Let's look at identifying small faces and also merging faces to create a better mesh. I'm going to double click on Merge Face and open that up in SpaceClaim. Notice if I zoom into this part, rotate it around, you'll see a lot of these long sliver faces which exist, which will make meshing really problematic. You'll have a high concentration of nodes and elements on these long sliver faces. So for this, we'll use our repair tool, Merge Face. How Merge Face works is it takes faces, say I box select this long face here. Notice on the right, you see it's hard for me to grab just what I want. Remember, you can always pause to pre-highlight what's being selected to make sure you only have selected what you want. Now to merge these together, I'll click the Merge Face tool and click the check mark. You can also click the Enter key to merge them together. Now what I want to point out with this is that what happens with merge faces is that it applies a best fit across these faces. So let me show you something else. I'm going to sketch a block in SpaceClaim. I'm going to pull it into a solid, and I'm going to round one of the corners. Merge face should only be done on faces which are tangent to each other. So if I control select these two faces, and I click the check mark, it's going to merge them together into one face. But again, it's going to be a best fit across those faces. If you want to look at the newly created face, you can go to Measure, click on Stripes as one way to see the curvature that's there on the face a little bit better. You can click the Curvature tool, so you can see where there's a high curvature change as well. Or you can look at that face with a grid. And you can always use the options to change the size of grids or the stripes to make them larger or smaller. Now what you should never do with the merge face is to try to merge faces which aren't already tangent. So I take these two faces and I attempt to merge them together. Even if this works and merges it together, this is not something that you want to mesh. Look, you have a lot of concentration here and a really odd shaped face as it tries to apply a best fit across this sharp edge. So to show you, you should only merge faces together which are tangent and also have a low degree of change, a low angle change between those faces. Let's go back to our model here. So we can use this to start merging faces together. And one thing we might want to do is we might want to use split face in conjunction with merge face. We might want to split all of these up into one and back down into the other. This middle face, which is kind of big, we might want to use the tool we just learned earlier, split face. Maybe take this middle face, use our 2 points, and split it once, 50%. Go to the other side and split it again, 50%. So I did 50% of this edge, 50% of this edge. Now if I go back with select and I box select the top group, I can merge that together and create the top half, box select the bottom, merge it together to create the bottom half. So these are techniques you can use to split a face and merge part into the top and part into the bottom. Now another thing to point out, let me look at this back section as I'm merging faces together. We might want to merge all of these faces together as it goes up. Notice if you box select faces, I'm going to point this out in a lot of these tutorials, it's always important to make sure you have selected what you think you have selected. Before I merge these together, I want to merge these two faces. If I go to the bottom of my screen, you can see it says I have 3 faces selected. So if I take a closer look, you can see there's actually a really small thin face there that's on my model. I don't want to merge that together with the other tool. So what I could do is this is something that I would use fill to remove on my part. If I take that face and I click fill, fill should try to extend that and remove it from my model. If I don't get the result that I'm looking for and don't get it removed, I could always go to pull and pull that face to remove it from my model. Just smashing it to the left, pulling it into the adjacent face. That removes this small face and small overlap so that I can just select on those two. Even a box select will only give me those two faces, and I can repair, merge face, and squish them together and put a best fit across those two faces. Now, what I use in combination with merge face a lot is small faces. Small faces helps me go through and detect where there's a small face on the model. Notice here, just like you saw in the back, it's detecting these small faces. And it detects faces by both the width of the face, so you can see most of these faces are identified by the width, but you can also identify faces by the area. So let's say we make the area 1 millimeter. We can see all of the faces which have an area of 1 millimeter. Now, taking a look at these faces, let's say I click on one of them to repair it. What small faces typically does is it tries to merge it into one of the faces. So in this case, it merged this face into the one above it, which isn't really something that I want. I'm going to undo. What I would probably want to do on a face like this is use split face in combination with it. For example, I could take these two faces, I'll split it using the UV curves of the face, and I'll do the same thing on this side. Split these three faces with the same UV curves that are there before. Now what I'm doing is I'm isolating a section that I could cut later. So what I'm doing is splitting all of these faces up, isolate it into a nice big rectangular section, so that instead of using the automatic choice of Spaceland to choose what I want to merge together, I'll say repair, merge face, and I'll merge all of these faces together into one big block, removing those small sliver faces and also getting rid of any of those small edges that were there after the fact. Now these splits that I had put on the part, if I want to go back and select on them, I can use fill to remove them from my model. So I can use fill to get rid of these extra edges which I had created on my design. So I hope you've seen how you can use both small faces and merge face to remove a lot of these small areas on the part. Thank you for watching.